So if you've ever used VirtualBox, you definitely know this feeling. You get your VM running perfectly, but it feels like it's in a bubble, like a ship in a bottle, totally cut off from your main computer. Well, today, we're gonna build the bridge. We're gonna look at 6 different ways to get files across that digital divide.
Here it is, the classic dilemma. You've got a file sitting right there on your host machine, and your VM needs it, like right now. But there's this invisible wall between them. So how do you punch through it? That's exactly what we're here to figure out.
We're basically building a full toolkit today. First, we'll get into why this barrier even exists. Then we'll cover the easy, built-in solutions, some really clever tricks using virtual drives, and finally, some powerful network sharing methods. By the end of this, you'll have a super simple guide to help you pick the perfect method for any situation you're in. Okay, let's kick things off with the big question. Why is your VM a digital island to begin with? You know, it can feel like a bug, but it's actually one of VirtualBox's most important features. See, your VM is designed to be a sandbox. That isolation, it's like a fortress, and it's there to protect your main computer from any unstable software or, viruses you might be testing inside. It's a fantastic security feature, but that same fortress wall is what stops your files. So let's talk about how we can open the gate, just when we need to. All right, let's start with the easiest tools in our kit. These are the ones VirtualBox has built right into its graphical interface. Think of these as your go-to, everyday solutions. And first up is the one we all kind of wish would just work right out of the box, drag and drop. It is exactly what it sounds like, but it does need a quick one-time setup to get it going. So the one thing you absolutely have to do is install the VirtualBox guest editions. Think of these as special drivers that just help the guest OS talk better with the host. Once those are installed inside your VM, just shut it down, hop into the settings, and under Advanced, you just set drag and drop to bidirectional. And that's pretty much it. The next time you boot up, you can literally drag files across, like it's magic. This method is absolutely perfect for those quick one-off file transfers. Maybe you need to get a single screenshot, a document, or a small script into your VM. This is your method. Once it's set up, it's instant and it's effortless. But, dragging single files is one thing. What if you're working on a whole project and you need constant access to a folder? Well, for that, we turn to the incredibly powerful Shared Folders feature. And again, you're going to need guest editions for this. Then, in the VM settings, you go to Shared Folders, click the little Add icon, and just pick the folder on your host machine that you want to share. The real key here is to check Auto Mount and Make Permanent. Now, every single time you boot up your VM, that folder will be right there, and it'll look just like a network drive. It's like a permanent bridge between your two worlds. For any developers out there, or really anyone working on a long-term project, this is the gold standard. You can edit code in your favorite editor on the host, and it's instantly available inside the VM for compiling or testing. It's totally seamless. So which one should you use? Well, the choice is actually pretty simple. Is it a one-time thing, like sending over a quick file? Go with drag and drop. Is it a long-term project where you need constant access? Shared folders, every single time. Okay, let's move beyond the built-in tools for a sec and get a little more creative. Now we're going to talk about using media, both physical and virtual, as a kind of bridge to carry your files across. Let's start with the physical world. Got a USB drive with all your files on it? Well, instead of copying them to your host computer first, you can actually pass the entire USB device directly to your virtual machine. This is called USB pass-through, and it's a really cool concept. You're basically telling your host operating system to unplug the USB drive and hand it over completely to the VM. Now, to do this, you will need the free VirtualBox extension pack, which adds some extra features like this one. It's the perfect solution for really huge files or if you need the VM to interact directly with some hardware. Next up, let's try a virtual bridge. Instead of a physical USB drive, we can use a virtual CD or DVD, which is also known as an ISO file. This is a fantastic method if security is your top concern. So, using a free tool on your host machine, you can package a whole folder of files into a single .iso file, which is basically just a virtual CD. Then, from your VM's Devices menu, you just insert this virtual disk. The real benefit here is that it's read-only. Your VM can read everything on it, but it absolutely cannot write anything back. This makes it an incredibly secure way to move sensitive files. Now, for our final set of tools, which are arguably the most flexible, network-based sharing. The big mindset shift here is to stop thinking of your VM as just a box inside your PC and start treating it like a completely separate computer on your network. The simplest network method requires, believe it or not, zero configuration. As long as both your host and your guest VM can get to the internet, you can use a web-based service to bridge that gap. Seriously, think of this as AirDrop for your virtual world. You just open a website like ShareDrop.io in a browser on both your host and your VM. They just automatically find each other, and you can send files back and forth. For a quick transfer where you don't want to mess with any settings, this is unbeatable. And finally, we've arrived at the method for the pros, the automators, and anyone who lives and breathes in the command line. Nothing really beats the power and speed of SSH and Secure Copy, or SCP. Now, there are a couple of requirements for this one. Your VM needs to have an SSH server running, and it needs a network setup where your host can actually see it, something like a bridged adapter. But once you have that, you can push a file from your host's terminal with a single command. It's incredibly fast, it's secure, and it's the professional standard for a reason. Okay, so we've covered 6 powerful methods, from simple clicks all the way to command line wizardry. But which one is right for you? Let's break it all down into a final decision guide. This table here basically puts it all together. Let's just run through it real quick. For a small file, just something you need to move fast. Use drag and drop. For an entire project folder, shared folders is absolutely the way to go. Moving a massive file, yeah, that's a job for USB pass-through. Need a super secure one-way transfer? Create an ISO. If you need something that works instantly with zero setup, use one of those web P2P tools. And of course, if you're scripting or automating anything, SCP is going to be your best friend.
And there you have it, 6 really reliable ways to connect your host and your virtual machine. That digital island, it's not so isolated anymore. So now that the barrier is gone, the only question left is, what are you going to build next?